Hey guys, so in this video we're going to be talking about something very important which will lay the foundation for the rest of the guides I'm about to make. And this very important thing is something I'd like to call Draconics. Draconics are special effects that certain equipment or your gears can have if you're lucky enough to get them. Now, why I decided to make this guide is because I am in the Dragon Raja Reddit group and someone posted a request for help choosing the right Drac for their class. And after the person posted that, someone else replied was like, bruh, I don't even know what Drac is. And I was really shocked to find out that there are players out there that don't really actually know what Draconics do or how useful they can be. To get to it, all you have to do is open your menu, that's this plus sign right here, and go to this gear icon over here. And you see Drac. All these are Draconics. Okay, you can check it for yourself as well. All of these are Draconics. The ones at the left are all what I have and are on me. Now there are different qualities of Draconics. You have your purple Draconics, you have your orange Draconics, you have your yellow quality Draconics, and you have your red, or is it pink Draconics? I'm just going to call it red Draconics. Okay, I'll call this red, and then you have your gold, and you have your orange, and finally you have your purple. Those are the four, I believe, four colors of Draconics we have for now. So now I'm going to try and explain to you the importance of these Draconics and give you examples of the ones that are suitable for each class. Alright, so we'll start with the weapon, your weapon Draconic. You see you have so many options for Draconics. Now there are two Draconic gears that are perfect for whatever level you are until you get the higher version of it. And the first one is Icy Blade, followed by Fatal Strike. These two don't really matter on your class per se, they just depend on what you like. Do you prefer critical? Fatal Strike will help you. Do you prefer normal damage? Icy Blade will help you. These two Dracs are perfect for any class. And that's it for the orange quality weapon Draconic. Now for the head Draconic, I will suggest three Draconics for you. The first one will be Bulwark of Eternity. This will be if you want to be a little more defensive. Not fully defensive, but a little more defensive with your playstyle. Now this is perfect for classes like the Assassins. If they get into their crystal coffin, they won't take any damage, and with you not taking any damage for 5 seconds, the damage taken after will be reduced. This is also great for the classes like the Reapers, who can go invisible and prevent themselves from taking any damage. Like, I use this Drac and I personally love this Drac the most for the headgear. So like I said, this is for defensive, and it is best you have a good playstyle and use the right class when you use the Bulwark of Eternity Draconic. Now if you are using other classes like the Soul Dancers and stuff, I don't think this Draconic will suit you. Even the Blade Master, I don't think this Draconic will suit you that well, except you run away from your opponent and wait it out. Now the other Drac I would suggest, and this will be for the damage dealers, will be the Assassin's Principles. Now this Draconic is just like the Bulwark of Eternity, but it is opposite in the way that if you don't take any damage for 5 seconds, the damage you deal afterwards will be increased. So this is perfect for the Assassins, just like the name is there. This is a perfect Draconic for the Assassins, and it is also great for the Reaper as well, but I think it favors the Assassins more. Now if you are not among any of these classes I mentioned, if your favorite class is not among any of these, there's another Draconic here that suits you, that will probably suit you best, and that will be the Blessing of Ice. This Draconic is perfect for the classes like the Soul Dancers and other classes that don't really want to receive much damage and don't really want to be that strategic, because Soul Dancers, it's quite difficult for you to avoid taking damage. I mean, you don't have the invisibility of the Reaper, neither do you have the immunity of the Assassins. So for classes like that, Blessing of Ice will be useful for you. But if you are using Blessing of Ice, I will suggest you use the entire Blessing Draconic, and I will get to that later. So that'll be it for the head Draconic. For the head Draconic, Blessing of Ice, Assassin's Principles, and Bulwark of Eternity. Those are the three Draconics I'll suggest for you guys. Now for the Clothe Draconic. The first and I think the most popular Draconic for clothing, there are two of them. The first one is Unbreakable Will. This is perfect for classes who don't want to get stunned, or players who don't want to get stunned, or who feel like they already get stunned a lot. Alright, so an example of classes like this would be the Blade Masters, would be the Puppeteers, would be the Soul Dancers and stuff. This Draconic is a perfect counter to stunning. It helps you increase the duration of your super armor by an extra 2 seconds. And if you see mine right here, and that's it, 4 seconds. So normally my dashing would have been 2 seconds of super armor, that is that glow on me. 2, 3, 4. But right now it extends to 4 seconds. Next drag I'll suggest for you guys will be Master's Craft. And I believe this was one of my favorite drag, and it's a perfect counter to the Bulwark of Eternity and the Assassin's Principle. Like this drag, which is Mastercraft, it helps you counter those other two drags that I just mentioned. So if you have this, you're going to continue dealing damage to your opponents for I think over 10 seconds. So if you hit your opponent once with your skill, having this drag on you, let's say you deal about 100,000 damage with one hit, the opponent is still going to receive a minimum of 10,000 to 8,000 damage every second for 10 seconds. So yeah, this drag is kind of great. Then the third Draconic I would suggest will be the Blessing of Fire. Remember in the head Draconic we actually saw another blessing which is quite similar to the Blessing of Fire, and that was the Blessing of Ice, which increases your magic defense by 20% and your water defense by 20%. Alright, for 15 seconds. That's what the Blessing of Ice does. Meanwhile, the Blessing of Fire increases your fire element defense and your physical defense. So you can see where this is going now. And these are not just the two blessings. There is another blessing ahead. So if you want to be a little more defensive or a lot more defensive, you can use the Blessing of Fire. If you do not have Unbreakable Will, then you can use Blessing of Fire if you're a Blade Master or whatever class and you want to be a lot more tanky. Now for the gloves. Now if we check out the gloves, there are two main Draconics that are very good for the glove drag. I mean, I would suggest you have at least one of these drags, and the first one and most important glove Draconic is Hellas Smile. So it can be triggered every 12 seconds, raises the damage you deal by 10% for a short period of time. Now I don't really care how short this period of time, if it's 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10, 20, 30 seconds. What matters is it increases your damage by 10% for that period of time, and it doesn't have a cooldown. Okay, it's not like some of the other Draconics that will tell you they have a cooldown of 60 seconds and stuff. This doesn't have a cooldown, so every 10-12 seconds it can be triggered and your damage can just keep on being increased continuously. So Hellas Smile is one of the best glove Draconics you can have, as long as you've not gotten a gold or red Draconic. For orange Draconics, for the glove section, Hellas Smile is your go-to one. Now if you don't have Hellas Smile, or you were not fortunate enough to get Hellas Smile, or you don't have enough diamonds to get this Draconic, then you can go for the next best thing, which is Marked for Death. It has a cooldown of 30 seconds and it is like a hand-me-down version of Hellas Smile, but it can still get the job done. Yeah, but first I would suggest you go for Hellas Smile. If you can't get this, or if you don't have it and you have Marked for Death, then sure, go for Marked for Death. Now there are two other Draconics in this area that are quite good, but they are based on RNG. The first is your Advanced Lock Draconic and the second is your Basic Lock Draconic. They also increase the chance of you gaining better quality gears. I'm not really sure the percentage they increase your chance for it, but yeah, I use this in my other account and I'm not really sure. I wasn't really sure about the difference, but I won't suggest you spend your diamonds getting this Draconic. It's not that useful. If you want to spend diamonds, I suggest you get your Hellas Smile. This will help you way better than the Advanced or Basic Lock Drag, because this is mainly based on RNG. There are some people who say it works for them and there are some who say it not really work for them, and there are others who are like me that are not really sure what the heck it does. So yeah, that'll be it for the gloves. Now moving on to the pants. In the pants section of Draconics, there are three drags I will suggest for you guys. The first one I'll suggest would be lift restriction, and this is perfect for classes like the assassins, the reapers, the illusionists, and probably the phantom sound. These are classes that have very high burst damage. What I mean by burst damage are classes that can deal an insane or a high amount of damage to their opponents within a short period of time. If you have this quality, then definitely lift restriction will help you a lot. The other classes like the Blade Masters and the Puppeteers, I won't really advise you use this. It won't really be that helpful to you as compared to some of the other Dracs here. Now, if you are a Blade Master or a Puppeteer, then the other Drac I would suggest for you to use would be the Shadow Travel Drac, which is this one. It increases your dodge percentage. It's perfect for dodge build classes like the Blade Master and the Skateboarder. So if you are a DPS focused class like the Assassin, like the Illusionist, like the Reaper, then go for the lift restriction Drac. If you are one that focuses on dodge builds and defensive builds, then go for the Shadow Travel Drac. Now remember I said there's also another blessing Drac ahead, and this is it. Remember the blessing of ice that you got from your headgear and the blessing of fire that you got from your clothes? Well, there's also another blessing here, and it's called the blessing of wind. Now if you want to use any one of these blessings, I would suggest you combine them all together. That means if you want to equip blessing of wind, then I'll suggest you equip blessing of ice as well, and probably blessing of fire. If you have these three blessing Dracs, your defenses will be insane. Imagine if 2 out of 3 of them proc at the same time. That's you having as high as 40% increase to your physical or your magic defense, which is kind of crazy. So if you want to be defensive or a lot more defensive, then the Pants Drac Blessing of Wind, the Head Draconic Blessing of Ice, and the Clothes Draconic Blessing of Fire are perfect for you. Alright, so that's it for the Pants. The first and most important Drac is the Wind Tamer. This is one of the most universally useful Draconics you can find in the game, and it is perfectly good for any class. This Drac helps you. Let me just give a quick example. You can see my endurance gauge right here. That's this blue line here, close to my jump icon. Let's say I try to dash now. 1, 2, 3. I can only dash 3 times with a full endurance gauge. That's what they call that blue line filling up. Alright, so if I switch my Draconic, which is this one, where is it, to Wind Tamer, you see it reduces the endurance consumed by dash by 20%. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can dash 4 to 5 times with that Drac. Now that's just how useful it is. For classes, the classes that this suits every single class except the Reaper. The Reaper doesn't really need the Wind Tamer as compared to other classes like the Gunslinger or the Soul Dancer or the Puppeteer. You don't really need that because you already have your teleportation. Okay, Reapers can already teleport almost as much as they want. So imagine you can teleport, you can dash, and before I'm done with all my dashing, I can teleport again. So as a Reaper, you don't need that Drac. Now instead of you having that Drac on you, then as a Reaper, that is, instead of you having that Drac on you, I'll suggest you use the other Draconic like the Extreme Dodge Drac or the Blessing of Earth Drac. This will be a lot more helpful for you as a Reaper. Now don't get me wrong, as a Reaper you can still use the Wind Tamer Drac. This is your preference right here. You have more leisure in this aspect. But for me, I don't really think it's that useful when playing a Reaper because the defenses and dodges that you can get from this other Drac will be a lot more helpful for you. The Extreme Dodge and the Blessing of Earth, it will be a lot more helpful for Reapers. Now if you're a Soul Dancer, if you're a Gunslinger, if you are a Blade Master, if you are a fighter, whatever class you are, apart from a Reaper, Wind Tamer should be your go-to Drac for the orange section of Dracs. Okay, and that'll be it for the boots. Now for the necklace, there are 2 Dracs here that are great, and the first Drac that I will suggest for every magic or long range attacker, this is including the Gunslinger, will be the Kill Shot Drac. Now, no matter your play style, as long as you are attacking from long range, as long as you are a long range attacker, that means you are not a blade master, you are not a fighter, the skateboarder, those classes don't need this Drac. Every other class, the illusionist, the phantom sound, the soul dancer, the gunslinger, every magic or long range class requires kill shot. This Draconic can make a world of difference for you. All right, then if you are a close range or a defensive class, I would suggest you use Wheel of Mortals. Now, Wheel of Mortals is perfect for the blade masters, the skateboarders, and basically these defensive classes, these classes that can absorb and tank damages. The blade master has a talent that can help it reduce damage when its health gets to, I think, is it below 50%, and I think the skateboarder has something like that as well. Now, if you combine that with Wheel of Mortals that reduces the damage you receive when your HP is lower than 35%, and you also combine it with your belt Draconic, which is Wailing of the Dead, that also reduces damage you receive by 5% when your health gets below 35. That's 10% reduction in damage from both the belt and your necklace. All right, so that's 10% reduction in damage right there. So combine that with your defensive build and your blessings and all those other stuff, and you'll be as tanky as hell. Now, this is perfect for the blade masters, the puppeteers, and the skateboarder classes, okay, those tanky classes. But for the damage dealing classes, the long range classes, the kill shot Drac will be for you. And for the ring Draconic, there are a couple of Dracs that are quite useful, but the first and most important Drac that every single player should have is the Whispers of the Ancient God Draconic. Either this or its purple equivalent. Now, this is the only purple Drac I would suggest you get. Alright, if you don't have the orange Whispers of the Ancient God, then Undetermined Knowledge, this Drac, Undetermined Knowledge, will be very helpful for you. Now, what does this do? It's quite easy. You see, when you go to your EX, you see these my skills now. Let's use Minefield for example. I have Minefield at level 6 and +2. You see +2 next to it. That +2 is given to me from the Draconic Whispers of the Ancient God. That +2 makes this Minefield level 8. You can see it up there, level 8. Without that, I won't be able to get a max level Minefield. And without a max level Minefield, you won't be able to stun your opponents or deal a lot more damage. It's the same thing with Royal Fire. A max level Royal Fire is way different from a level 6 Royal Fire. And that's the importance of the Whispers of the Ancient God Ring Draconic. Honestly, I don't take this Drac for anything. I don't take it off anywhere. Like, I use this everywhere. Now, that's the most important Drac I'll suggest for you. Now, you can have some other Draconics depending on the class you use. And this second Draconic, I will only suggest it, that's Goddess Gift, I will only suggest it for classes like the Illusionists, who use their normal attack. What it means by NA, N attack, that's normal attack. That's all this for the Reaper. This is our normal attack. All these, the teleportation, this, and whatever, they are all skills. This one right here is our normal attack. If you switch to your blue, it changes to blue. So I would suggest for the Illusionist you use Goddess's Gift if you don't have Whispers of the Ancient God. They are the only class I would suggest this for. I won't even suggest this for the Phantom Sound, okay? I think you should stick with Whispers of the Ancient God. Now, there's another Drac you can use for your ring, but you can only use this, or you should only use this if either you are a whale, that is, you cash a lot, or you want to use this for team events such as the Battlegrounds, Dungeons, Ladder of Honor, Bombs. You can use Risk Factor. This increases your chance for you to trigger Blood Rage. Without this Drac, I'm not even sure if most players will know what Blood Rage means. I've made a video about Blood Rage. I'll leave a link in the description there. You can check it out and see just what Blood Rage is. Blood Rage is an insane skill that if any classes, especially classes like the Illusionist or the Phantom Sounds, they can literally one-hit kill their opponents, okay, thanks to Blood Rage. But it has some requirements for it to activate. So that's it for the Ring Draconics. I will suggest Risk Factor for team events, Goddess's Gift for the Illusionist class, and Whispers of the Ancient God for every class, for every event. Now moving on to the Bracelet. So I'll suggest you get the Drac we're drawing. I mean, it's the only orange Drac there, so it's quite helpful. Now there are other purple Dracs there, which are the Intellect Enlightenment and Strength Enlightenment. I'll suggest you get any of these depending on your favorite class that you tend to use a lot for things like Dragon Slayer, that's the club dragon event. And finally the belt. For the belt, it's the same as the bracelet. There's only one orange Draconic, and that's the Wailing of the Dead. Now remember, if you mix the Wailing of the Dead's reduction in damage with the necklaces, with this Wheel of Mortars, if you mix those two together, you can be a serious tank. So I'll suggest those two Dracs for the Blade Masters, the Puppeteers, the Skateboarders. I'll suggest it for you classes that and new players that focus on tanking damage. So definitely get that. Now you definitely want to unlock Insight Enlightenment, which increases your attack power, and your CDR or Dexterity, which increases your multi-strike or your critical level. Now get those two Dracs or any one of them, because it will be helpful for you in Clash of Swords, in Deity's Test, and in the Dragon Slaying. And I think that's about it for this video. I don't want to get too in depth into it because I think this video is already long enough. For the next video about this, I will talk about the gold, that's this color, the gold color Drac, and promoting your Drac to red. I'll suggest the right one for you guys to choose so you don't make mistakes, because this can be quite devastating if you make mistakes on this. So I'll suggest this in the next video about this. Let me know if there's any part about this that confuses you guys, or if you have any additions or suggestions, you can drop them down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has proved useful to you, and always remember, Dracs are very useful. Don't neglect Draconics, guys. Come on. please keep in mind, Draconics are useful to you. Don't use the wrong Dracs for your class. If you're gonna use the blessing Dracs, use all of them if you can, okay? They can make a whole lot of difference. And trust me, if you feel like you are a higher rating losing to a lower rating player, it's probably because you are using the wrong Dracs. I mean, skills aside, I mean stats aside, that's this distribution aside, forget all that. Sometimes you're just using the wrong Draconic, and you just have to sort that right. Alright, thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And as always guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.